Hello there, my name is PolishLynx. We continue with Everlasting Summer and Semyon's Road. I said in the end that his ending might not be good, and it doesn't matter if it is a good or bad end actually. We'll see. I got up and started to slowly walk along the rows of tables. Lena and Zenya are sitting over there. I gave them a friendly smile. Alice and Julian are laughing and arguing about something. Olga Dmitrievna is surrounded by pioneers. Good thing she didn't notice me. There are hardly any free seats, but the guy from this morning is nowhere to be seen. The situation is getting more and more interesting. Looks like I won't find him here. Maybe he already had lunch. I headed to the exit. It was so hot outside that it seemed like you would instantly melt after coming out of the shade. I suddenly felt like sleeping. I yawned and headed to the camp leader's cabin in order to follow the domestic interpretation of the Archimedes principle. In the end, Olga Dmitrievna is unlikely to return anytime soon, at least I think so, and I will definitely have a couple of hours to rest. Anyways, I don't expect any other options to arise, especially in this heat. He slept to 1 PM and he's freaking going to rest. What the fuck is wrong with him? The heavenly coolness in the cabin became my salvation. I mean, I'm lazy, but come on. You slept long enough. I took my clothes off and jumped into bed. Crickets were lazily chirping outside, the wind was shaking the curtains of the window, and I sank into a dream. Knocking on the door woke me up. The knocks were soft but insistent. I reluctantly got up and went to open it. Strangely, there was nobody on the doorstep. I rubbed my eyes and stepped out to look around. All the same, no one around. A dream, maybe? It was already 4 o'clock. I felt jaded. I probably shouldn't have slept in the afternoon. After all, I knew what was going to happen. I put on my boots, left the cabin and locked the door. But where shall I go? All in all, there is not much time till dinner. A sudden thought came to me that it would be nice to refresh myself, so I went towards the beach. The sun has passed the midday mark a while ago. It gets dark early here in the south. I squinted and looked up at the flaming disk. Who was that just now? I flinched. The same mysterious guy was standing in front of me. And once again his face was hard to see due to the bright light. For a moment the sun blinded me so I could not see anything besides the faint contours of objects. Are you stalking me? Nope, I was just passing by. He answered calmly. When you should know better. So you haven't seen anyone? Correct. I rubbed my eyes, but it did not help. Why didn't I see you at lunch? I asked bluntly. I wasn't hungry. He laughed. I blinked a few times and my vision came back, but the pioneer had miraculously disappeared once again. What the hell is going on here? Now I was absolutely sure that there was something strange about that guy. He must be directly related to everything happening around here. I will have to find out. But for starters, it's good to confirm that I am not mistaken and that he is not just a local pioneer. It was quite crowded at the beach. It looked like everyone from the camp was here. Well, no wonder, it's so hot outside. Olga Dmitrievna was standing just a bit further apart from everyone, keeping an eye on her army of pioneers. As soon as I thought that coming here might not have been the best idea, she noticed me. Hey Semyon! You weren't at the lineup, and in general you are just lounging around all day. I did not know how to answer. And just how are you planning on becoming a proper pioneer? She continued more softly. Olga Dmitrievna, in the camp, is there a pioneer who looks a lot like me? She looked surprised. Maybe? I don't know. Why do you ask? I'm just curious. Well, we have a lot of boys here. Alright, never mind. Someone's yell came from the river side and Olga Dmitrievna rushed in its direction. Well, it looks like I will be spared a lecture. I lowered myself onto the sand and stared at the pioneers playing in the water. After a few minutes of sitting here, Uliana approached me. Why so sad? I'm not sad. Well, why are you here sitting all alone? Just thinking. About what? I decided to spare her my story about the mysterious pioneer. Well, imagine that you are chatting with a weird person, and you have to figure out what exactly is so weird about them. Simple, I would just ask them. She laughed. Too simple. But he won't answer. How do you know? Have you tried asking? No, but it's obvious. Liam did not answer, just sat down next to me and let out a tired sigh. I'm all swimed out. And what if they know something but won't tell you? Make them! But how? For a bit longer, we sat together, talking about random things, and then I got up, said goodbye and went away. It's time to find the mysterious stranger and get all the answers. The first place to visit was the bus stop. After all, this is where it all began. The road was empty, as always. Only small dust tornadoes were occasionally visible on it. I was ready to turn around and go back to the camp, but when I heard someone whisper, "Don't trust him." Someone was hiding behind the monument. A pioneer was sitting there with his back to me. Once again, the voice seemed strangely familiar. "Who are you?" I took a few steps towards him. "Stop! Don't come any closer!" For some reason I froze in my tracks. From somewhere deep inside an assurance came to me, and I understood that I shouldn't argue with him. "Alright, I will stay here." "Have you seen him? Talked to him?" he asked nervously. "Who are you even talking about?" He was dressed in a pioneer uniform. "You know who." And I definitely did know. He was talking about the weird pioneer I saw earlier. "Yeah," I answered after a few moments of silence. "What did he tell you?" The pioneer asked in a pleading tone. "Nothing, really." "Did he give you advice? Did he tell you what to do? Threaten you?" "Nope, nothing like that." Of course he seemed pretty weird, but nothing more than that. Remember, he may not be alone, or more likely he's alone, but you may meet many pioneers here who look like him. And what about you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you hiding from? You will understand. In time. Just remember, the most important thing is to find the exit. All of a sudden, a strong gust of wind came through, ripping leaves from the trees and throwing an old paperback in my face. Shielding myself, I averted my eyes. When I looked back at the monument, the pioneer was already gone. At that moment, I was overwhelmed by fear. Real, almost tangible fear. I remember being scared during my first hours at this camp. But back then, everything around me seemed kind and friendly. Now Sovyonok revealed its fangs, getting ready to eat me. And ahead, the unknown. My body was covered in ghost bumps. My throat was dry and my hands were shaking. I tried to ignore it all and headed back to the camp. It was already dinner time, but I had no desire to go to the canteen. After meeting the second mysterious pioneer, just thinking about the locals made me, if not afraid, then at least creeped out. I don't even know who or what they all are. And even though nothing had happened yet, it does not mean I can trust them. I stopped in front of the clubhouse, but then realized that this is not the best spot to be at. I could run into someone, which was not something I wanted to do at the moment. Almost running, I hurried towards the forest and walked a few meters along the path before finally stopping. On one side, the mysterious pioneer. Well, two of them to be precise. On the other, all the other inhabitants of this camp, who seemed absolutely normal. Either way, my decision to stand back and let everything resolve itself was under some serious pressure. At this point, it was clear to me. I had to do something on my own. But what exactly? Everyone is probably having a dinner, so I have a good chance to make it to Olga Dmitrievna's place without being noticed. I decided to first take my clothes that I wore when I arrived here, along with my cell phone. I won't be able to come up with a solid plan right off the bat. So far, to the time being, I might as well hide in the forest. I leaped up the steps and entered the building. My clothes were right where I left them, and my phone was where it was supposed to be, under my pillow. I quickly grabbed it and was ready to stuff it into my pocket, but then I noticed something on the screen. The message window was open. The text read, "You're wrong, Semyon. You are so wrong. It felt like my soul had left my body. I froze on the spot. I was shaking and my blood was pumping so hard, it felt like my skull was going to burst open from the pressure. It took at least a full minute for me to come back to senses. Okolipievna could have typed in the message. Or one of the pioneers. It's easy to figure out how to do it, even if they are not familiar with this technology. But no one besides me should know where I keep the phone. This event was the straw that broke the camel's back. I rushed out of the house, determined never to come back here. Night fell on the campground. I had been sitting in the woods for a few hours, trembling at every noise. The spot that I chose was far away from the path, so it would be hard to find me. I was keeping a few plans in my head for the time being. To try and run, to kill every single person in the camp. However, on the other hand, one thought chased me and I realized that I shouldn't behave like this because of some strange pioneer, or even because of that message on the phone. All of this was reinforcing the thought that everything happening here was far from normal. However, there was no proof that anyone in the camp had nothing to do with it. I could have stayed here until morning, lost in my own thoughts, but I heard footsteps coming from somewhere nearby. So we decided to escape after all. I turned around but couldn't see the pioneer's face in the dark. Nevertheless, I was pretty sure that it was him. I wasn't afraid then. More precisely, I was so physically exhausted that I was prepared for any possible course of events and somehow managed to reason appropriately to it and to maintain the conversation. I wouldn't call this an escape. I answered slowly, stretching every word. Then what is it? A tactical retreat. Brilliant. He burst into laughter. Listen, why don't you tell me what's going on? Who are you and what you want from me? What did that guy tell you at the gate? It seemed that he didn't even hear my question. He told me not to trust you. I lied. But on the other hand, I thought that it was what he meant. Well, that's always the way for him. Running away, hiding. I could hear irritation in his voice. I'm not sure what kind of circus you are running here, but I'm not going to be part of it. Oh, why not? You're the star, after all. I couldn't see his face, but I bet he was smiling. Explain my part to me then. You know, I was like you in the beginning. The first time everything went peacefully. Then I escaped. I tried to understand what was going on, got mad, and even tortured them to get the truth. He laughed crazily. I shivered. But it was pointless. Continued the pioneer after calming down a bit. Pointless. And then I began to notice the lapses. At first I just heard their voices from a distance and something in my head. Then vague silhouettes appeared. Then they slowly took on physical form. And finally they stepped in my world. I could touch them, introduce them to other pioneers. And they all were different. Different? Do you get it? Different? He started shouting. And it recurred again and again. You can get used to those, but... Then I read how to get into the worlds by myself to interact with the others, but it turned out that I'm not alone. There are lots of us. Today you saw at least one more. He fell silent. I didn't know what question to ask and didn't want to interrupt his story, so I simply waited. After a minute, he continued. It's not that simple, of course. And it's not always possible. Only under certain circumstances. When you feel strong emotions, for example. Instantly remember how I saw him the first time. The time when I didn't feel any emotions at all. Including the moments when you feel happy. As if he was reading my thoughts. I see. So you're trying to say that there are several parallel worlds, including the same camp, with its inhabitants where I am replaced by you or that guy I met at the bus stop. Yeah, something like that. His answer didn't surprise me at all. In the end, it's clear that whatever happens here is beyond the limits of human understanding, and this story didn't even seem all that unusual. But you've said that everything recurs. Yeah, it recurs. And what will happen? Afterwards? You will start from the very beginning. You'll wake in the bus, come to the camp, meet Olga Nitrievna, the girls, electronic. But if it did happen to you, then why should it happen to me as well? It happens to everyone. Once again, he laughed hysterically. And how many loops have you experienced so far? I stopped counting them already. At first I tried to remember them for maybe a few hundred. No wonder, it was very clear to me that this guy was suffering from a progressing mental dysfunction. But you searched for a way out, didn't you? He didn't answer. That's what that guy at the bus stop was talking about. Because he understands nothing, damn it! He shouted. Because he's just like you, constantly running away, hiding. What would you suggest then? If I had any suggestions, I would be standing here talking to you. Alright, but you were trying, weren't you? Are you trying to understand what I know, since I've been around here for a long time? He asked cheerfully. Well, that's evident. Yeah, I did try to run away from here. There. He waved towards the forest. It's nothing there. Nothing but trees. When I had been walking there for several days and finally passed out, I found myself in the past again. Same for walking along the road. It's endless. Talking to somebody about this is pointless. You probably already understood that by yourself. I did. I interjected. Even if you try to explain your situation directly, at best you'd just be considered an idiot. What if you try to not leave the bus? It's pointless. Sooner or later you'll be found. I even tried to spend the entire time there. In the end I fell asleep, and everything started from the beginning. And what if you started by yourself and leave? No keys. And I don't have any carjacking skills. A cursed cycle. Exactly. A long silence fell. Finally I asked, and what about the people around here? Don't they raise absolutely reasonable suspicions? Suspicions? Laughter again. The only thing that is suspicious about them is that no matter how much you tell them, they stare at you with their eyes out on stalks. The people. I feared them at first too. Then I used them for different experiments. And now I don't consider it humans. They are all dolls. Puppets. What the fuck are you talking about? You can easily predict any reaction, any word or action. So they aren't worth fearing, are they? The one worth fearing is yourself. He said softly. Do you know how funny it is when human bones crack as they slowly break from this tension? No? Looks like he has finally lost his marbles. Listen, I understand everything, but... Other one thinks that's a bit much too. But it doesn't matter, nobody but you is real here. Not true. The pioneer suddenly fell silent. Well, no, I don't agree with you. You're probably thinking, why didn't check this all by myself, aren't you? Why didn't I try to reach their nearest village or town? Yeah, I did have such thoughts. Why wasn't I suspicious? Why was I doing different stuff instead of searching for answers? Well, yeah. Forget about it. That's normal. We all behave like this for the first time here. But how many others have you seen so far? Not that many. The pioneer was lost in thought. About 10 people, maybe. But I'm sure there are many more of them. And is everyone like this? In fact, yeah. Only the details are different, but the main thing is invariable. There is no way out of here. And by the way, you are just like the majority of them. The only thing that differs is that you have heard everything from me instead of experiencing it for yourself. I don't know if I should thank him for that. Well, and what now? Nothing, he said shortly. Alright, and when you close your eyes, he probably will disappear. So let's end the episode here. That might be a crazy ending. Alright, see you in the next one. Bye.